My wife had been missing for 6 hours. I called everyone. I filed a report. At 3 a.m., my neighbor walked over and said, "She's not coming back. Some women wake up and realize they married the wrong man." I froze. He smiled. "Don't take it personal." I slammed the door. The next morning, a letter arrived, addressed to me, in my wife's handwriting. But the paper was dated 2 days ago. It had details she would never say. We took it to a handwriting expert, who confirmed something I never expected. It was written while she was being held. Next door. I live in Billings, Montana. Not in the rich part. Just a regular working-class neighborhood. 2-story houses, dry grass, old pickup trucks and driveways. People keep to themselves here, mostly. But they watch. You don't think they are, but they are. My wife, Julia, didn't come home on a Thursday night. She was supposed to be off work at 6 o'clock. She always texted me if she was going to be late, even by 10 minutes. She worked at the library downtown. Everyone knew her. Always smiling, always talking about books I never had time to read. At 6:30 I made dinner. Nothing fancy, just pork chops and potatoes. I figured she'd walk in any minute. At 7:15 I called her. No answer. I called again at 7:30. Still nothing. I checked the Find My iPhone app, but it was offline. That never happened before. By 8 o'clock, I was out the door. Drove to the library. The lights were off. Her car wasn't there. I called her best friend, Natalie. I called her sister. I even called her boss. Nobody had seen her since she left work that afternoon. At 9:45, I was pacing in the driveway. I called the police. The officer was polite, but slow. Asked if we had a fight. I said we argued a few days ago, sure, but not big. Nothing that would make her run away. He said they'd take a report, but adults leave sometimes. By midnight, I wasn't thinking straight. I walked through the house over and over, looking for a clue. Anything. Her toothbrush was there. Her wallet. Her favorite hoodie still on the chair by the door. Her phone charger was still plugged in by the bed. She was supposed to work the next day. At 3:12 a.m., I heard a knock. It wasn't on the door. It was on the living room window. I jumped up. My hands were shaking before I even pulled the curtain back. It was my neighbor. Mr. Rayner. He was in a dark jacket, just standing there like he was waiting for me to figure it out. He lived 2 doors down, alone. Retired mechanic. Always said he liked things simple. He was polite but cold. Never really smiled. Always looked like he was chewing on some bad news. I opened the door just a little. "Something wrong?" He looked at me, too calm. His eyes didn't blink much. He said, "She's not coming back." Just like that. No warning. No emotion. I stared at him. "What?" "Some women," he said, "wake up and realize they married the wrong man." My throat went dry. I didn't move. Then he smiled real slow. "Don't take it personal." I slammed the door. Hard. Locked it. Then I ran around the house locking every window. My heart was pounding so loud I thought I was going to black out. I didn't sleep that night. I just sat in the dark with the baseball bat across my lap and the porch light off. The next morning, I opened the mailbox. There was no mailman yet. But inside was an envelope with my name on it. No stamp. No postmark. Just my name. Written in Julia's handwriting. Inside was a folded piece of paper. It said, "I'm sorry. I couldn't stay. I need to leave for myself. Please don't come after me. It's better this way. You deserve someone who wants the same life as you. I'll always care. Goodbye. Julia Annette." She hated her middle name. She never used it. Not even on formal stuff. And the whole tone? It didn't sound like her. But the worst part, the letter was dated 2 days ago. I sat on the porch with that letter in my hand, feeling like the world was spinning sideways. I couldn't breathe right. I called the police again. They said it looked like she left of her own free will. They asked if she had mental health issues. I told them no. They said they'd file it. But I wasn't letting this go. I took the letter to a handwriting expert in Billings. Private guy. Charges hourly. I didn't care what it cost. He ran the tests. 3 days later, he called me back. It's her handwriting, he said. But something's off. I asked what he meant. She was under stress, he said. Big time. The pressure on the strokes, the way she held the pen, she hesitated, started and stopped. This wasn't casual. This wasn't someone leaving by choice. And then he told me something else. There are indentations under the letters. Like she was writing on a rough surface. Something like unfinished wood. My skin went cold. Mr. Rayner's garage is all unfinished pine. He built it himself. Told me once he liked the way it smelled, said it reminded him of truth. I told the police again. They said I had no proof. No warrant. No cause. They couldn't just search a man's home because I didn't like the way he looked at me. So I started watching. I started watching Rayner's house. Every day after work, I parked one street over and waited. I logged everything. What time he left. What time he came back. What lights were on in his house. What he took in and out of his garage. At night, he always sat on the back porch. Same chair. Same glass of whiskey. Same blank stare like he didn't have a single care in the world. He never looked in my direction, but I could feel it. He knew I was watching. Sometimes I swore he was smiling to himself. One night, I walked down the alley behind the row of houses, keeping to the shadows. His backyard was dark, but I could see light bleeding out from under the garage door. That garage didn't have any windows. He was in there. Again. I crept closer, careful not to step on anything loud. I pressed my ear against the side wall. Nothing. Then, something. A sound I'll never forget. A soft cough. Not his. Higher pitched. Muffled. Like someone trying not to be heard. I backed away, heart in my throat. I recorded a voice memo right there, the time, the sound, my location. Send it to myself. I wanted a record in case something happened to me. The next day, I went to the police with everything I had. The letter. The expert report. My log. The recording. They said it still wasn't enough. Maybe it's the TV, one of them said. Maybe he's got company. You can't accuse a man of kidnapping without seeing the person. I snapped. Then help me see her, I said. Because I know she's in there. The officer leaned back and crossed his arms. If you trespass, it's on you. They weren't going to help. That much was clear. So I made a plan. I waited for Friday night. Rayner always went out that night. Same bar. Drove himself. Had 2 drinks, came back by midnight. He was predictable like that. At 7 o'clock, I drove to the bar and parked across the street. I watched his truck. At 7:33, he walked in. That was my window. I raced back to the neighborhood, parked 3 blocks away, and snuck into his yard through the alley. The garage was locked with a heavy padlock. I brought bolt cutters. It wasn't quiet. I nearly pissed myself thinking he'd come back, but I got it open. Inside was dark, no windows, just the smell of wood, gasoline, and something else. Something foul. I flipped on my flashlight. There was a small cot in the corner. A bucket. A tray of half-eaten food. A rolled-up towel. And in the corner, chained to a beam, hidden under a dirty tarp, Julia. She looked up when I said her name. Her face was pale, bruised. She had duct tape over her mouth and zip ties around her ankles. I dropped the flashlight, ran to her, pulled the tape off. She started sobbing. "Ship," I said. "I got you. I got you." We're going. I cut her loose and carried her out. She could barely walk. We didn't go home. I took her straight to the ER. While they treated her, I called the police. Told them everything. They arrested Rainer that night. And that should have been the end. But it wasn't. Because the cops found something else in his garage, locked in an old freezer, sealed with duct tape and a rusted latch. Inside were 5 more letters. All in different handwriting. All from different women. All saying the same thing. I'm safe. Don't look for me. It's better this way. The morning after Rainer was arrested, the whole neighborhood was out on their porches. You'd think someone died. In a way, someone did, the version of this place we all thought we lived in. The quiet, safe little street with well-cut lawns and smiling neighbors. Julia was still in the hospital. They were running tests, checking for signs of drugs, trauma, anything long-term. She wouldn't say much. Just held my hand and cried every time I walked in. The doctor said her silence was normal. Said it would take time. I didn't push her. I just stayed by her side. But what they found in Rainer's garage, that wouldn't leave my head. The letters. All the same fake goodbye notes. Different names. Different handwriting. All carefully folded. Stored like trophies. The cops wouldn't tell me the names. Said it was part of an ongoing investigation. But I heard one of the officers whisper something when he thought I wasn't listening. Missing persons. That's when I started digging. There was a local news site that had a cold case archive. I searched by year. I started with 5 years ago. There she was. The first one. Tracy Moore, 29. Went missing in 2020. Lived 2 streets over. Worked at the pharmacy. Last seen walking home after a shift. Boyfriend swore she wouldn't have run off. No body, no trace, no follow-up. Then I found another. Gina Walters, 34. Vanished in 2021. Divorced. Lived in an apartment across town. Her neighbors said she got a letter the day after she vanished, saying she was moving on. And then a third. Danny Cruz, 26. Gone 2022. She was reported missing by her older brother. He said she never came back from a morning run. The cops found no sign of a struggle. A week later, her parents got a letter in the mail, same tone, same handwriting. They never looked harder. They just stopped. All the women were reported missing within a 10-mile radius. All within the last 5 years. And Rainer? He moved to our street in 2019. I brought everything to a reporter I knew from high school, Lenny Martel. He worked for a local news site, mostly covering sports and politics, but he owed me a favor from years back when I fixed his truck for free. I showed him the timeline, the articles, the details from the hospital. Jesus Christ, he said. This could be national. It should be, I told him. He made some calls. Started pressing the police. Suddenly, they were a lot more interested. Rainer wasn't just some sick old man with a messed up fetish. He was a predator. A planner. A man who knew how to blend in. And then, another twist. Julia got a visitor at the hospital. A woman. Mid-30s. Long dark hair, nervous energy. She asked for Julia by name. Said she used to work with her at the library. But Julia didn't recognize her. The woman leaned in and whispered something I couldn't hear. Julia went stiff. Her hands shook. I came into the room, demanding to know who she was. The woman just looked at me, eyes wet, and said, "He made her write it. Just like he made me." I stepped forward. She backed away. "I was his first," she said. "Before he got careful. Before he started killing them." Then she left. I chased her down the hallway, but by the time I got to the main doors, she was gone. No name. No number. Nothing. Julia wouldn't talk about it. She just stared out the window like she was watching something only she could see. That night, I went home alone for the first time since I found her. And taped to my front door was another letter, folded neatly. No envelope. My name written in perfect script. But this one wasn't from Julia. And it wasn't old. It was fresh. Ink still smelled like it was drying. It said, "You think this is over? It isn't. You only saw what I wanted you to see. Tell your wife I said goodbye." Again. It was signed. I took the letter straight to the police. Again. They looked it over. Swabbed it. Took prints. Promised to investigate. But I knew what that meant. The same runaround as before. The same shrugs. Maybe they'd check his cell for visitors. Maybe they'd interview a few people. But that letter was a message. A challenge. He was taunting me from jail. I went back to the hospital and told Julia. She didn't flinch. Just stared ahead. I think she already knew. Maybe she'd always known it wasn't over. I didn't sleep that night. I sat at the kitchen table with all the letters, maps, names, reports, everything spread out. My phone buzzed around 1:30 a.m. Unknown number. Just one message. Check the crawl space. No punctuation. No name. But I knew it had to be her. The woman from the hospital. Rayner's first. I grabbed a flashlight and went outside. My crawl space had a locked grate. I'd never touched it in years. I kept tools in the shed. Why would I? I popped the lock. Swung the grate open. Shined my light inside. At first, it was just dirt. Pipes. Cobwebs. Then I saw something. A small tin box. Rusted, but not ancient. I reached in, pulled it out. My hands were shaking. Inside were photos. 5 women. Tied up. Blindfolded. Some with fresh bruises. All in the same room. Rayner's garage. And one more. Julia. Taped to the inside of the lid was a sticky note, scrawled in that same sharp handwriting. Every man misses something. You missed this. I took the box to the police. This time, they couldn't ignore it. They raided Rayner's house again. Dug up his backyard. Found shallow graves, 2 bodies, not yet identified. He stopped killing when he started getting smarter, when the letters worked. When the world let him hide in plain sight. Julia was one of the lucky ones. But barely. They charged him with murder, kidnapping, unlawful imprisonment, and evidence tampering. He never spoke. Not in court. Not to reporters. Just stared ahead like he didn't hear a word. But that wasn't enough for me. I needed to understand why. I needed to know how a man could do that to people and sleep at night. So I did something stupid. I asked for a visit. The warden said no. But someone inside owed a favor. I got 10 minutes in a glass booth, no recording. Rayner walked in wearing orange. Shackled at the ankles. Sat down slow, like he had all the time in the world. He picked up the phone and smiled. I didn't. Why? I asked. He tilted his head. Why not? I pressed the glass. You ruined her. You broke her. He leaned closer. I didn't break her. You did. I just showed her what was real. I slammed the phone down and stood. I wanted to kill him. Right there. With my hands. But he wasn't worth it. He wanted that. Wanted the show. He never got it. 3 months later, Julia left. She packed up her things and drove east to stay with her sister in Vermont. Said she couldn't be in that house anymore. Couldn't look at the street, or the porch, or the garage 2 doors down. I asked if she still loved me. She said, I don't know who I am right now. I need to figure that out first. She kissed my cheek and walked out the door. That was the last time I saw her. Rayner was sentenced to life without parole. No chance of appeal. Died in prison 8 months in, stabbed in the laundry room. They never found out who did it. No one talked. Not even the guards. They called it prison justice. I call it balance. I still live in that house. I couldn't bring myself to sell it. But I changed the locks. Put in cameras. Got a dog. And every night, before I go to bed, I check the crawl space. Just in case someone decides to leave me another letter.